Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are going to talk about the F word, fear, F-E-A-R. I've been teaching inversions for a little while, handstands, pinchas, headstands, and one of the most common questions is how can they be less fearful? Because a lot of people practicing inversions think that fear gets in the way. It's an obstacle, it's a dislike. They think that if they are not fearful, then they could nail that inversion easier and faster. So today we will be talking about elements, categories like what is fear, the causes of fear, how to overcome, and also a bit of my personal experience. Okay, so let me defend fear. We should not hate fear. We shouldn't dislike it because fear is a way of survival. It keeps us alive. If we are not fearful, if we're not scared of anything at all, a lot of us might not be alive today. Let's say if we're not scared, then we might still be walking across the road, crossing the street, crossing the road, even when the red pedestrian street sign is on. Okay? Or we might put our hand over a red hot stove, okay? Because we're not fearful, right? And it's not something that's exaggerated. It's actually a real scenario. I actually read a book on the human brain, and there was this case study about this girl who's apparently the amygdala, the part of the brain that fear is in, is somehow off, like really, really off. And one time she was in a very dangerous situation. She was with a man who was actually hurting her, trying to kill her. But she was not fearful at all. So after the scenario, she actually asked the man to drive her back home. The man who was actually trying to harm her. And that was such an extreme case, but that is actually how fear can help us and keep us alive. I'll be putting the link of the book down in the caption below. So if anyone is interested in reading The Human Brain, you can check that out. And also, as we age, we tend to be more fearful. That's actually very normal because if we do get injured, let's say in inversion, back to the inversion scenario, less extreme, we know that it takes longer to heal. And sometimes we may not even heal back to, the original state. Okay? We might always carry some part of that injury with us for the rest of our life. So that is why when we age, we would actually tend to be even more fearful, more careful. And I know that there are few of us who, age and fear, they don't go hand in hand, but that's another story. So that is why. Fear, just to clarify, we should be happy with. And also putting back in the context of inversions, if we're not fearful, then especially when inversions requires a lot of skill, requires a lot of insight and awareness, if we are not fearful, then we might actually either hurt ourselves more often or might not be learning it with as much awareness as we would like. So again, it's more about finding that balance, finding that right amount of fear when we are learning inversions and not having it overrule the entire journey. Okay, so let's talk about the cause. Why are we fearful when we're doing inversion? So a lot of different reasons. We might have fallen before and got hurt. So that is a very common reason to be fearful. Or we might have fallen without knowing, not getting hurt physically, but it's just that shock, that mental shock that really block us from doing it again. So even though physically we might not have any injuries, but that mental hurt is also very, very serious and could actually be more long lasting than a physical injury. Or maybe it's not from you. The fear might be inherited, might be from your mom who was carrying you at the time. Maybe she got shocked or she got hurt, and that trauma just kind of carried on to you. Because again, some people don't believe it, but I do. As muscles do have memory, so the umbilical cord is a muscle. When your mother was carrying you, you were connected together with the umbilical cord. So, something that might have happened to her might have had carried on to you. So there are a lot of things. Some could be analyzed or could be found out, but others it just kind of come without even knowing. So you might not even know why you're so fearful of falling. So how to overcome? I've had a lot of people asking me how to overcome something, especially fear. So my advice is, before you go around and ask your teacher, I would suggest you to take a moment, okay, and just have a conversation with your own self. What's up? Okay. So if you feel if it's something that's unstable, the base, maybe when you go up into inversion, your shoulders are always moving. You feel the shoulders are collapsing, something that's muscular, then find someone who can help you. Find a teacher who can really train you so that you are more solid in your base. So when you go up, you don't have to be fearful anymore. Because again, if your base is unstable, then that's a very good reason to be scared of, right? So find someone, or maybe, go on YouTube, find videos on YouTube, try to help you, or find someone who you trust and who can really, really help you. Okay, there are a lot of good teachers out there, but not every good teacher is suitable for you. Okay, you need to do your own homework, do your own research, look around and find someone who really suits you, and not because they are a good teacher. Okay, and then you follow them. Another way is learning how to fall. Okay, a lot of people, because they don't know how to fall, then it's fearful. So fear is not fear of the unknown. Fear is something that happens when you know that you cannot control anymore. So if you know how to fall, then you can control that fall, right? So try to learn how to fall. There are quite a few of ways to fall out of an inversion, I should say. If one way doesn't help you, or you feel uncomfortable, even more uncomfortable falling out of the inversion rather than staying in an inversion, then see if there's another way of falling out of the inversion that you feel more stable or feel more comfortable in. So let's use me, for example, handstands. Before, I would be falling into a wheel pose out of a handstand, and I hated it so much. I hated it so much that I basically blocked myself from falling. So my handstands were on a plateau for a very long time. Actually, it wasn't on a plateau. It was regressing because I was so fearful. And it wasn't until I found my teacher who helped me to fall out of the handstand in a cartwheel way, and that really clicked. Like eventually I learned how to fall in that way, and that really helped me. I felt that cartwheeling out of a handstand was fun, it was unintimidating, it was very natural. So by learning how to fall according to the body's structure and comfort, it would benefit you. However, if you find that all the ways that you kind of know about how to fall out of the inversion isn't helping, let's say for pincha, for example, I know of two ways. One way is to fall into a forearm wheel, and another way is, again, to cartwheel out of it. For both versions, if I have to choose, I would choose falling into a forearm wheel because is less dangerous. If you cartwheel out of it, pincha, first of all, your twist needs to be very deep, and also you need to be very quick. And also you need to know that you'll be landing on your feet rather than on your knees. So there are a lot of other factors that come into place. However, I don't like to fall into a forearm wheel either. So what I do is I fight until I don't fall. So falling is an escape, right? How about you learn how to fight until you don't fall? Fighting is more like a mental state. Like, I'm not giving up. Okay, so how to do that? Maybe you train more. You practice more. Practice until you know you can win that fight. So it's more about muscular. It might be easy to say. Okay, you might think, oh, it's easy for you to say, Greta, but that's how I do my pincha now. Like, I'm not falling. I won't fall. So it's more like a motto for me now. Like, I won't fall. And then even if I feel that, something is out of balance, I would find a way, either my shoulders or my head or my legs, whatever that I could do to fight until I regain the balance. Another way to check is do an inversion with the wall behind you or teacher spotting you, and do an inversion, the same inversion, in the middle of the mat. If doing it with the wall or teacher spotting, you have absolutely no problem. You're like, yeah, I can do this. But when you're doing it in the middle of the room, you suddenly become so fearful that you cannot kick as you could have kicked when you're doing it with the wall. That is more mental. Okay, then have a chat. Be it meditation does help, or just whenever you go up into inversion, just before you go up into inversion, just think that, okay, I'm gonna nail this. Like, be more positive about yourself. Thing is, the brain is really, really crazy. The brain loves thinking negative stuff because it's more exciting. Yeah, that's how the brain works. Again, it's in that book. Thinking about positive things is boring. So that's why the brain tends to love making everything a huge drama. So thinking negative, thinking about fear and thinking that you fall and then, cracking your head in half and whatever and all that stuff is exciting for the brain. So the brain tends to like to feed on negative thoughts. So you need to control that. Okay, be it I have really strong shoulders, I could do it no problem, or I'm just gonna fight, or simply whatever, I'm just not gonna fall. That's it. Okay, think of a statement that really works for you and go for it. Again, bring back to me for pincha. For a long time, I need to kick maybe twice or even 3 times before I could actually get up, and sometimes I would fall too. But it wasn't until I did my Ashtanga practice that I had to do pincha. And because the practice is very long, and after pincha, there's also a lot of things after pincha that I need to take care of, that I was like, you know what? I just don't have the time to fiddle or to fidget or to move around. So I'm just going to go up once, 5 breaths, and that's it. Okay, and for some reason, that worked. And yeah, so that is me. So that's it. Fear, again, be grateful that you have it. Be friends with your fear, okay? But also try to live with it rather than let it control you, okay? And don't hate it. Understand it. It's a part of you. And yoga, that's what yoga is all about. The journey of being honest with yourself and understanding yourself. That's it for my sharing for today, and I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.